Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're going to talk about the best weapon to come from the recently released Prophecy Dungeon for the Rite of the Nine event. This week there are 4 weapons: Judgment, Relentless, a Sudden Death, and Prosecutor. Of these 4, I firmly believe that a Sudden Death is the best weapon to farm for due to multiple first-of-its-kind type of rolls. If you want to know how to best engage with Rite of the Nine, I put out a video that you can use to farm efficiently. But now before we get into the review, there are timestamps down below, and if you enjoy this kind of video, a subscription would be greatly appreciated. And if you're a returning viewer wanting to engage with the community more, there's also a Discord server linked in the description where I would love to see you there. But with that aside, let's actually look at the weapon. This is a Void shotgun with some very interesting perks. In the third column, it gets 1-2 punch, threat detector, discord, envious assassin, slide shot, repulsor brace. Then in column 4, it gets closing time, paracausal affinity, destabilizing rounds, redirection, opening shot, and trench barrel. In standard weapon review fashion, we're going to bring our attention first to the third column. The ones that I'm most interested in are 1-2 punch, discord, and repulsor brace. Beginning with 1-2 punch, this perk has seen quite a lot of use over the years, with its main benefit being increased melee damage after landing essentially all of your pellets. In game, we can see how it works, where our base melee deals 8,685 damage. And then against Kara with our 1-2 punch shotgun equipped, after one shot we can melee again and see our damage increased to 17,000 damage. The main use of this exotic is to make our melee abilities deal tons of damage. Like here on a Liar's Handshake Hunter, we can use that exotic with this perk to deal upwards of 123,000 damage in one punch. But interestingly, this actually can be used in a different way on this shotgun specifically. However, we'll look at that when we talk about the fourth column perks. Moving down the line, the next perk that caught my attention was Discord. This perk is a little interesting and reads, final blows with another weapon grant this weapon increased speed for aiming down sights, accuracy, and airborne effectiveness for a short time. When Discord is active, final blows refund ammo. In game, we can see how this works, where after scoring a kill with any of our other weapons, we can then equip a sudden death and all of our shots begin to refund ammo if we get a kill. Normally, shotguns are reserved for only high health enemies, but it's novel to see you can actually use this to take care of the fodder without penalizing yourself. However, this perk becomes especially interesting again when we look at combos within the fourth column. But before that, we have our final perk that interested me in the third column, being Repulsor Brace. This perk gives us a Void Overshield whenever killing Void debuffed enemies. It's alright, but it needs a bit too much investment into Void 3.0 for my tastes. But like all of the rest of the perks in this column, it actually can be quite good when paired with a different perk. And that is the perfect segue into looking into that fourth column. The perks here that are worth our time are Destabilizing Rounds, Redirection, and Trench Barrel. Beginning with Destabilizing Rounds, this perk causes a volatile explosion on any kill. And if that explosion hits anything, it grants our shotgun volatile rounds. This is an amazing ad clear perk. But with that comment comes the question, do we want to use this weapon for ad clear? And the answer to that lies in our god roll. So before that, let's check out the other perks, the next one being Redirection. This perk reads, damaging rank and file combatants increases damage against more powerful ones. In game, we can see this in action as hits on red bar enemies grants us stacks, but this is where sudden death goes kinda crazy. On a normal weapon with Redirection like this Scout, we get 2 stacks per shot. This is the standard functionality. On a pellet shotgun, you can get so many in one shot. Here, I got 16 stacks from one trigger pull. That's more than half of the 30 cap. And yes, this is the first pellet shotgun ever to get this perk. But as for what these stacks do, if we shoot anything above a red bar, it grants increased damage and removes 2 stacks when enhanced. This increase is quite high at 100%, which makes it a very lethal shotgun. And assuming you have max stacks of Redirection, that's 15 shots of double damage. I do want to point out, however, that enhancing this perk is necessary, as it greatly improves how easy it is to gain and keep stacks by reducing how many are spent at a time. But then our last perk in this fourth column performs quite similarly to Redirection, and that is Trench Barrel. This perk will increase our shotgun's damage after dealing melee damage. This increase is plus 50%, and we can see it proccing, as after a melee, we get ×3 Trench Barrel. This will last a couple of seconds or until you shoot 3 shots. At that point, you must melee again to reactivate the perk. That said, it's still definitely the easiest way to get a pretty high damage increase on a sudden death. Now, before we look at combining all of these perks and seeing what the God roll is, we have its origin traits to discuss. The default Prophecy origin trait is actually quite good, so you could run either that or the new origin trait that is given to all of the Rite of the Nine dungeon weapons. The benefits of the two can be separated pretty easily. For crossing over, the Prophecy one, you'll essentially get 1 or 2% more damage as you use the weapon. The rest of the benefits are stats, which we don't really care about. The other origin trait option is Gravity Well, the Rite of the Nine one, which will allow us to pick up ammo when we reload this weapon from about this distance. So, would you rather 1 to 2% more damage or some automatic ammo pickups? Neither are too crazy, so just choose whichever you wish. But now, combination-wise, what are we looking at? Well, the first combo, and the one that I really don't like too much, is the Repulsor Brace plus Destabilizing Round combo. This is fantastic on other weapons, specifically ad clear weapons, and while you can use it on a sudden death, this is just not the archetype of weapon for that playstyle. So while you have an infinite generator of Void Overshield, the cost for that is just a bit too high for me to recommend it. The next combo that is quite interesting is Discord plus Redirection. Both of these perks work alongside each other. Discord will allow you to use this weapon against red bars to gain stacks of Redirection without actually wasting any ammo. And then once you have those stacks, you can let loose on a high health target. If you wanted to use Redirection and the unique synergy that it has with this shotgun, then this is absolutely the way to do it. But remember that the culmination of this combo is that you're giving yourself 15 shots of double damage. And our last combo is another way to increase our damage, with this being 1-2 punch plus Trench Barrel. Trench Barrel gives us the weapon damage increase that we're looking for, allowing you to delete health bars without needing any forethought, unlike Redirection. But there's quite an interesting interaction between this and the aforementioned 1-2 punch. You have to melee to activate Trench Barrel's damage increase. While you reactivate that perk, 1-2 punch is making it so that the actual reactivation does more damage, leading to ultimately more DPS. And that is pretty cool. We're seeing this in game as we punch, beef up our shotgun for 3 shots, then punch again for some massively increased melee damage. It's not that crazy if you're not doing a melee build, but it is a overall increase. Without a doubt though, sudden death is very unique. Between this roll and the Discord plus Redirection roll, we have a lot of firsts on this gun. As for which is best, it depends, but if you find yourself getting up close and personal with ads, Redirection and Discord will allow you to have the most lethal version of this shotgun by abusing that synergy between pellets and Redirection. But if you prefer consistency and don't want to run gun with a shotty, 1-2 punch plus Trench Barrel is a no-brain option. Ideally, you get yourself a shiny sudden death with all 4 of these perks, and you never have to worry about one being better than the other. If you're curious what weapon is the best to farm, sudden death is it. And now you know what to look for. But again, before you spend all your currency, remember a Lootapalooza will be happening during the final weeks of the Rite of the Nine event, so watch out for that. And I think that's everything I wanted to say. Thank you so much for getting this far into the video. Your viewership means an absolute ton. If you want to support me and support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription, joining the Discord goes a very long way. If you want to support me and support the channel but you can't think of a comment down below, a sudden death. With that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.